Council meeting, today is Monday, October the 5th at 5 p.m. We'll call this meeting to order. And if you'll please stand and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call, Deb.
Here.
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 Okay, we have a quorum. I'll entertain a motion then to approve the agenda.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Vote, please.
Yes.
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 Okay, motion carried. First, I want to thank our videographer tonight, Carla Yokamisha. Did I pronounce that right? Yokamisha? Yokamisha. Okay, very good. Thank you very much for being here. And also, just ask everyone to continue to take the precautions for COVID-19, wearing masks or some sort of face covering maybe when out in the public, and try to social distance. The numbers are on the increase here in Kossuth County, and it's important that we continue to take those precautions. So, anyone else have anything?
No, I just want to thank Vicki with the chamber. The wine walk event we had a week or so ago went very well, and afterwards they had a band down there that was a lot of fun. There were not just a whole lot of people attending, so social distancing worked out quite easily there. Then this last weekend was the Tornado Alley Run. I want to thank everybody that helped with that, although I did not get to attend it, so I'm not real sure how it all turned out.
Next weekend.
Actually, it was
Oh, that's
delayed.
next weekend?
It was
Oh,
delayed for 2
I
weeks.
didn't know that.
Yeah. So you still have a
Okay.
chance.
Well, good.
Yeah,
2
Yeah.
weeks.
Still got your chance to run.
right. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. Okay, we'll move then to item number 6, an update from Jacob, the city administrator.
Couple items on Tornado Alley. We did move it this year. It's typically on the same week, or what would be the 5th, but it will be the 17th this year. Saturday, we're having precautions to address COVID and making sure we can have distance when that event starts and ends. But registration's open online, or you can stop in at City Hall to fill out a form. Also, the city, we're hiring for a few different positions right now that just want to let people know about. One, the community development director position with the city, that's posted and advertised, and we'll be accepting applications until that position's filled. So probably at least a couple of weeks, and then we'll start that process with interviews. And then we are also now advertising for a part-time snow removal operator in the winter. So trying to identify a couple people to help us some of those early mornings when we get snow to get the city up and moving. That's all I have, unless anyone has any questions.
Okay, thank you. This would be the time on the agenda for the citizens' opportunity to address the council with items that are not on the agenda. Is there anyone on the phone conference that would like to speak now? Okay, hearing none, I believe Chief Kendall has something. If you'd like to come up, please, and share.
In kind of an effort to keep the city council up to date on some items, we had a grant that we received, our department received, that we did not apply for, which is a good thing, and I hope that trend continues. So here in the last year or so, we've wanted to add to our equipment thermal imaging. We've talked about that before a little bit, and I got a phone call from Brenda Hanover, who's from here. Her and her husband farm over by Whittemore, and she had the opportunity, or they did as a couple, had the opportunity to pick a local cause, and they had the opportunity from America Farm Grow Communities to award $2,500 grant. Now that America Farm Grow Community is something that's funded by Bayer. It's been around since 2010, and it's awarded $57 million across the country. So every year, some farmers get the opportunity to, they put in for that opportunity, and they were awarded that, so they got to pick. They become aware through radio that we were looking at thermal imaging. So her and I talked, and then they talked as a couple, and they nominated us, and as a result of that, we received $2,500, and we were able to purchase 4 small thermal imaging units. They're about $600 a piece because they were on special, so we were able to get 4 instead of 3 for that amount of money. So with those 4, there'll be 1 in each of our 2 officers' cars that are part of MART, a multi-agency response team. Then we have a couple others. Thermal imaging is a concept that where it detects heat, whether that's a fleeing felon or whether that's a Alzheimer's patient that they can't find, a lost child, because here in this type of environment here in especially our part of the country, it's very rural. We've got wooded areas and things like that. So, and it works in day or night. It works inside, outside. It just detects heat, and it's very unique. And at any point, if you'd like to see how that works, I'd certainly show you that. So, we were very lucky, and thanks to American Farm Grower community and also the Hanovers being kind enough to give that or award that to us. And obviously, we work with other law enforcement agencies. Thermal imaging has been used a couple times since we've had it in our department, and it's been in rural areas. So, so I think that's a kind of a feel-good story. So it's
Yeah, for sure.
we hope those things, and people have been very kind to us, and this is another case in point for that.
Good.
Good
Great
news.
news.
Thank you, Chief. Yes, and thank you to the Hanovers for that. That's nice, pleasant surprise. Yeah. Okay, we'll move to agenda item number 8, the consent agenda, which includes approving the minutes from our last city council meeting, September the 21st, approve the bills that are to be paid this cycle, and to approve Jacob's administrator's report.
Move to approve.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Is there any discussion? Vote, please.
Yes.
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 Motion carried. Thank you. Move to number 9, old business. This is an ordinance amending the Algona Tree Board. Jacob?
So this item was tabled at the last meeting, following our work session. The ordinance that we're discussing makes some minor adjustments to the structure of the tree board, clarifies that the staff members that are ex officio are non-voting, as well as allows for different lengths of appointments in order to stagger the terms so everyone's not coming off at the same time. But the other change that we debated and decided, that the council decided to table, was whether or not to allow up to 1 member of the board to be a non-resident if they are a either academic or professional experience that, they have an expertise in urban forestry. Couple meetings, work sessions ago, we had talked about possibly adding that option. So based off the comments at the last meeting, though, 2 drafts were prepared in option A, which includes the language that would allow council to appoint someone up to 1 member that isn't a resident if they meet those expertise criteria, and the other just strikes that language completely. So I don't think one's necessarily more right than the other, so it's more of a preference on how we want to see it structured. But those are kind of the 2 options.
Well, I guess I would be in favor of not having that because a person can, I would expect the board to seek counsel from experts whenever they need it. So I wouldn't think it'd be good to lock into one particular person when that option's available. I guess also I think that the tree board is a little bit more isolated to Algona as far as concerns. people living here, that's a concern for them. Possibly some of the other boards, might reach out into the county a little bit more with some of the concerns, but this one, I really don't see that happening.
I don't think I had a preference either way overall. I mean, you can see pros and cons to both ways, so I know it doesn't help anybody, but.
I'm gonna say I'm on board with B. I mean, to me, it makes more sense to keep it local.
Is that a motion?
I move that we move forward with option B.
I'll second that.
Okay, we have a motion and a second for option B. Is there any further discussion?
I'm assuming we have to waive the first
Waive-
reading. I
waive
move
the first
that we waive the first
reading.
reading to make that official
Okay,
All right,
of option B.
second that.
okay. So we're going to waive the reading of option B. Okay, vote please.
Jody? Yes. Harley?
Yes.
Mike?
Yes.
Rodney?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, motion carried, thank you.
Moved to approve the first reading of option B.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Vote please.
Jody? Yes. Harley?
Yes.
Mike?
Yes.
Rodney?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, motion carried then to approve option B then for the,
First reading.
first reading the ordinance for the Algona Tree Board. Okay, we'll move then to new business, agenda item number 10. That's a resolution approving transfer of funds. Jacob?
Yes, this is the monthly transfer of funds resolution. This authorizes the city clerk to transfer $3,715.56 from the sewer rental fund to the debt service fund to make the monthly payment on the jet sewer truck.
Motion to approve, transfer.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Vote please.
Jody? Yes. Harley?
Yes.
Mike?
Yes.
Rodney?
Yes.
Yes.
Motion carried, thank you. Move to agenda item number 11, which is a resolution approving a grant application. Kendall, want to speak on that? Okay.
Kendall, speak on this.
This one, applied for.
Yes, this is one I have to have permission to try to obtain. I know you've got the information in your packets on this grant request through Northwest Iowa Care Connections, and the funding that is available is through the Federal CARES Act, as I understand, and it goes two areas to deal with mental health issues. And I'm going to give you a little bit of background here. You've heard, of course, here, especially during the last 6 months, a lot of talk about social workers doing some of the work that we do. And we've kind of dabbled in that last few years, and we kind of like to think maybe our office in some regards is a little bit of a trendsetter. So a few years ago, we put on a volunteer social work. It's one of our volunteers, just like our reserves are. Katie Pullman started working with us about 3 or 4 years ago. A second person has come forward, Jen Shipler. They're both from Algona and wants to work with us. And they work in areas of mental health, community outreach, then also working with, Katie does a lot of work with victims, especially in the areas of sexual abuse. So, but this has all been voluntary. Now, Katie, and she can talk in just a moment here and explain this a little bit better and probably answer your questions better than I could. So this is a work in progress, but Katie found this grant that was available and asked if she could apply for it, draw it up. Obviously, we've got to come to council before it becomes a reality. And there's no match to this grant. And this is something that is temporary. As it appears, it's temporary. And it isn't something that anybody's led to believe that when this expires, that the city and the taxpayers have to now come forward and take over this. We've been very clear. I've been clear with Katie on that. So, and they've been working on some other funding sources if we do this, then down the road when this expires to keep this going, so it doesn't have totally go towards them funding their own expenses. So that's to give you a little bit of a background on that. Hopefully, I explained it fairly well. So Katie Pullman will just explain it a little bit more, and we understand that there's time as an element here, so, but we want to answer your questions.
So thank you all so much. As Kendall said, I've been your volunteer police social worker for the last 3 to 4 years. Algona Police is the only police department in the state of Iowa that has a master's level licensed social worker working for them. So congratulations, we are ahead of everyone else. Bettendorf Police has had a social worker working with their police department since 1975. They're the only other ones who have licensed social workers. Hers is a bachelor's level. So we know we're ahead of the curve here, and so when everything happened about 6 months ago with that idea of how do we best embed social workers in some of these other areas that they want to change up, maybe some of the ways we can offer policing services, we looked at some of the options. We know mental health is an area of deep and severe need here in Kossuth County. So when we came across this grant, up until this point, myself and Jenna both have basically been paying all of our own expenses. If we do ride-alongs, we pay. If we have gas, we pay. If we have to give out our personal cell phone numbers for people to reach us, that's what's been happening. So what this grant would allow us to do is to purchase the materials needed to kind of get a startup going, creating a uniform, so that when we're on scene, victims and individuals with mental health needs will know that we are there as part of the police department and we're there to help them. So it wouldn't be a traditional police's uniform. Other jurisdictions such as Cedar Rapids use co-responder programs. They recommended to us to use kind of a polo shirt and some khakis, much like you would do as our officers use in their non-dress blues. So this would give us the chance to get a uniform. It also allows us to provide cell phones for myself and Jenna that we can be reached on. Traditionally, we've worked on nights and weekends, which is a time when even more so there's a more dire need because there's less availability of providers. Our hospital normal daytime staff go home at those hours, so it's also going to provide us with some of the technology that we may need in the field, such as a laptop and a tablet, so that we can sit down with individuals in the middle of a mental health crisis and say, hold on, let's see if we can find those resources for you in the community. That's what this grant would address, is simply technical providing of items. There's no ongoing need for that regard. That being said, I had an opportunity to speak with Northwest Care Connections today about this, and they recognize there's such a dire need for mental health services and what we're proposing, that this is a position that very likely could become one that could potentially be funded through this grant as well. Now, we recognize that the glitch there was all of the funding has to be spent by December 31st, I believe it is, and their intention is that everyone needs to get this done. It's a short-term grant. What I have proposed is if we were to offer a 2-year contract for a full-time employee, would that be possible? We're still going through the negotiations of does that meet this criteria? Do they know of other grant sources that we could do? What I will tell you, I have a full-time job. I'm usually not even in Algona during the day. I happen to be here today. I work 10 to 20 hours a week, every week with our victims primarily, and doing community outreach. That's not even touching mental health. This is a position that very quickly could overwhelm a volunteer because the need is so significant, and the providers, the collaboration of all of those resources is limited at best. So this is something where if you wanted to make a big dent in mental health needs in this community, this has the possibility to do it. Mobile crisis response, every county in the state of Iowa is already under a mandate to provide mobile crisis response and to provide peer responders. Jenna's official title is a peer support responder, coming through a collaboration between the Iowa Department of Public Health and the National Alliance of Mental Illness. She has her 40-hour certification. I will oversee her 500 hours that she's required to do, and then she has to take her boards. Every county is required to have these in place. So we have the opportunity to create our own and get it funded. My goal would be to find 5 years worth of funding so we can do the necessary data tracking and data collaboration to be able to build it out even further. There are Department of Justice grants, there are Bureau of Justice Administration grants for these things, and this is all before they come up with the reform measures that will most likely be coming down after everything that happened this summer. That being said, do you have any questions?
So this grant you're applying for now, is it an annual grant you can apply for, or this is like one time you can apply and that's it?
So the grant you have in front of you is for around $5,000, and that is just for materials to get this up and going, and so that Jenna and I don't have to continue to provide materials on our own. The subsequent grant would be one that I would want to come back and approach all of you about and give you the information. But that would be, I'm asking for 2 years up front. That'd be, I threw out the number of about 80 grand is what I'd like, and to get us up and going with a 2-year position and 2-year contract, with the suggestion that that money would be spent by December 31st, as long as we have a signed 2-year contract from an employee and/or position. We'll see. That is still something that is kind of a work in progress.
You said this position is mandatory. When is it mandatory? As of what date, or?
I believe it was August of this year, it was already mandatory, but if I'm not mistaken, I have the law at home and I hadn't had a chance to get all the way through it. If I'm not mistaken, a waiver was given though, because when the mandate came down, COVID was not even in existence. COVID has extended that. I know that there are people from Cassuth County that have been in collaboration, working with Berry Hill, Mobile Crisis Response out of Fort Dodge. I know that we've also talked with Seasons out of Esterville, if I'm not mistaken. One of the challenges Cassuth County has is we are geographically the largest county in the state of Iowa. Their models for mobile crisis response is they will be on scene within 1 hour. Well, even with their lights and sirens, I can't get from Fort Dodge to Lakota in 1 hour. So we're outside their protocols, which has caused some back and forth, how are we gonna do this? My guess, if I had to truly just guess, would be by sometime next summer, though, it's gonna be an expectation these things will be in place.
So you'll be working with all law enforcement, both city
Correct.
and county?
Correct, and we have all along. Even though I have been under the police department, I've always been available to our sex crime investigators for the sheriff's office and done when we do community outreach, it's not. Even students at Algona High School or Algona schools, Garrigan schools, they're coming from the county, they're coming from Algona. It goes across the board. Any other questions?
I don't have any questions. I just want to thank you for your volunteer time. This is very essential in what you've done.
You're very welcome. It's truly my pleasure. We need this here.
Thank you.
I'd move to approve the resolution.
Here we have a motion and a second to approve this grant application. Vote, please.
Yes.
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 Motion carried. Thank you. Move then to agenda item number 12 is a resolution approving a contract for the library renovation.
Yeah, we had a bid opening on September 29th for the library project, and we had a total of 10 bidders. They're very competitive. The lowest bidder was Henkel Construction out of Ames at $1,499,500. The highest bid was about 1.8 million. So the 10 bidders were all within that range. We're very happy with the competitive bid we were able to get, below what we had estimated for cost, and our understanding is that commercial construction that they're looking for jobs, and so we had more bidders than what we expected, and it's a nice indoor job over the winter. So we'll be looking at, what elements of the project that we can maybe reincorporate back in that were previously scaled out to try to hit our budget number. But we can plan to continue to move forward, and the library is now operating out of the temporary location, and we expect construction to begin in late October. So the resolution before you would approve the city or authorize the mayor to enter into a contract with Henkel Construction to perform the work.
Has Henkel handled any other projects for us in the past?
I'm
Off
not
the top of your head?
aware if they have.
Okay.
I gather it would start fairly soon?
Yeah, I believe October 26th is the tentative start date, but we still have to have our pre-construction meeting where we'll iron out those details.
Okay, I'd move to approve.
I'll second.
Do we have a motion and a second? Any other discussion? Vote, please.
Yes.
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 Motion carried, thank you. Agenda item number 13 is a resolution involving the airport. Jacob.
So items 13 and 14 go together, but they are two separate DOT funding sources and technically two separate projects. But last year, the city had applied a grant from the DOT for two-stall hangar extension out at the airport. We were originally planning it would be another year out, but we received good news that the grant was awarded in this funding cycle. So this first item, number 13, approves the grant agreement with the DOT for the actual hangar extension, and the two-stall extension will be just south of where the current three-stall extension is going on. So this building here, this picture is a little bit out of date, but so the third stall, the three stalls are going in here right now, so this two stalls will just be to the south of that. The DOT would reimburse the city up to 39% for the project cost, or up to $150,000 for this element of the project.
Motion to approve the two-stall hangar extension.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion by Rodney, second by Brooke. Any discussion? Vote, please.
Yes.
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 Motion carried, thank you. And then agenda item number 14.
So this is a resolution approving the grant agreement for the two-stall hangar approach paving. So this is also from the DOT, but a different funding source from them. And for this project, the DOT would cover up to 75% of the cost, up to $51,000, and the city is responsible for 25%.
So on the picture up there, the approach is on the west side?
I believe so, yes.
So would you have grass there, would probably be paved over for the entries?
Yes. Like I said, this picture's out of date. so,
Yeah.
Yeah, we're looking at somewhere. So the paving would be on either side of the hangar.
Okay.
Paving's in blue, hangers in pink.
That's right. That's made with a wall between the planes. And they come in like that so they can park more densely, I believe. I think that's the way it looks there. Wait, move to approve.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to approve agenda item number 14. Any discussion? Vote, please.
Yes.
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 Okay, motion carried. Thank you. Agenda item number 15 is to approve a pay app. Jacob?
So this is a pay application number 2 from Jensen Builders, who's currently doing work on the three-stall hangar extension, which is this hangar right here going up. The dirt work and the concrete work's all been completed, and the building has been delivered, I believe, maybe 2 weeks ago, and so now the contractor is 80 days from that date to get the building up. So things proceed on schedule. This pay application is for $122,855.09. The engineer has reviewed and recommends approval.
Motion to approve pay application.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Vote, please.
Yes.
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 Motion carried, thank you. Agenda item number 16 is to refer a proposal to the Planning and Zoning Commission.
Alliant Energy is proposing to build a substation on Highway 18, about a mile and a half, close to 2 miles outside of town, next to an existing substation they have. But part of that development process, they're subdividing a field, which triggers subdivision. And since it's within 2 miles of the city, the fall of the city has the authority to review and approve that. So our standard procedure for all these is that council takes it, refers it to planning and zoning for their consideration, and then they'll come back to council with the recommendation. Seems like a very straightforward project, don't anticipate anything, but want to follow our steps for whenever we have developments within 2 miles of the city. So this simply just refers it to P&Z for consideration, and we'll be scheduling that meeting for sometime this month.
Which direction out of town is this?
East.
East, okay. Okay.
Yeah, it's off 18.
Are they just like adding on? Do they have one out there already?
Yeah, it's going right next to a substation they already have, so. About right here.
Right there it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So they're proposing to parcel off about 3 acres here, should be next to that site.
Any communication from the landowner on that yet, or
My
Did we-
understanding that Alliant is, the
handling that?
landowner is in the process of becoming the landowner.
Okay,
Move to refer to P&Z.
second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to refer this to P&Z. A vote, please.
Yes.
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 Motion carried, thank you. Agenda item number 17 is to consider a request for a partial street closure tomorrow.
Yeah, for tomorrow. So Kelly Ziggis at the market has a request to block off, this map's out of date, but block off the 3 parallel parking spots. There's next to her business there's 4, so the one will stay open, but 3 of which are generally here. She won some contest, I'm not exactly sure how it came about, but the Scratch Cupcake food truck is going to be here. So just wants to be able to block that off early in the day so they can make sure they have parking there. So it'll be from about 6 in the morning till 1 p.m. So just the parking area of the street will remain open. And the vehicle will be facing the sidewalk, so there won't be any issues with, in terms of
Pedestrians
buying
there.
product.
Motion to approve the closure.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and a second. Any discussion?
Well, other than we need to get this meeting over so we can go start standing in line, so we'll be there in time to get some cupcakes.
6 o'clock, huh? 6 o'clock tomorrow morning, all right. Okay, vote please.
Yes.
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 Motion carried, thank you. Agenda item number 18, this is the final notification of a vacancy and an appointment to the tree board. Just to review, the council approved Jim Sloter's resignation to the tree board, and this is a council appointment. So hopefully maybe next meeting, we can appoint his replacement then. So just to ask everyone to kind of keep their ears open and their eyes and see if maybe you find someone who's well qualified and would like to participate. So with that, I just need a motion then to adjourn.
So moved.
Is there a second? Meeting adjourned at 5:35. Thank you.
Hey, Laurie,